Welcome back to the Weekend Handyman. Today we will be cutting and folding the fenders on this 92 Cherokee. We'll be removing the fender flares, taking out the fender liners inside of here, and using an angle grinder to cut slits and fold in parts of the fender so that we can fit 31-inch tires on stock suspension on this Cherokee with no rubbing. First thing you're going to do is come in here on the front. Look at the inner fender liner here. It's this plastic piece. You can see there are different little clips like this right here that are holding it in place. You're just going to rip those out. Be careful with it if you want to reuse it. So I'm just going to kind of come along, pull it away from the inside of the fender flare first, and then kind of rip those plugs out. I'm not going to be careful with mine because I'm not going to reuse it, but if you want to try to reuse yours, then you might want to be careful. What we did was, with these little connectors that were in here holding the inner fender on, we just took a chisel, one behind, and popped them out, just kind of pried them out, then slowly worked around the outside. This was after we got all the nuts off that were around the inside of the fender here. So we're just slowly working this off. I'm going to pull it out. Now that the inner fender liner is out, I'm going to come back in here, look all around the inside of the ridge here, and any nuts that were on the studs holding the flares on, I'm going to go ahead and remove those. Chances are you're probably going to snap most of them. I did. If you don't, then you're pretty lucky. Look for any other fasteners that might be holding these flares on, and remove them. Then pull the flares off. You might need to pound on some of the remaining studs with a hammer. Just kind of give them a tap or two to, pop them out, but that's about it. Now on the front fenders, typically what people do is they just cut maybe along this seam or do something like that and just cut off the section. I don't want to do that because what that does is it leaves a sharp edge for your tire to catch on if you don't have your bump stops adjusted properly, and plus if you do that you should probably buy some kind of guard for it, and I don't want to spend the money on it because I'm going to be getting rid of this thing pretty soon. What we're going to do is cut and fold just like we will do in the rear. So first we're going to cut up to this line right here and fold in along it, so the fender will be this much shorter around the wheel. We're going to just go ahead and draw a line around the edge of this. You can freehand it, or you can make up a cardboard template that maybe has a certain distance between where the edge of the cardboard rides on this, and then drill a hole or something to put your marker in and then kind of drag it along. That's one option, but I don't really care about this Jeep, so I'm just going to freehand it, so I'll show you that in a second. So the line that we drew just helps to clearly define the uppermost point that we want to cut to. If you want, you can draw vertical lines kind of up and down, just showing where you would like to make your cuts, but I'm just kind of wing it and see what happens. So there are a few different methods you can use to make the cuts. We're going to be using an angle grinder with the cutoff disc on it. That's our preferred method. You can also use a jigsaw, you can use a sawzall, or if you have to, you can even use a hacksaw. So this is how we're going to do it with the angle grinder. So we've got all our cuts made here. Along straight sections you can make a little longer cuts, you know, a few inches in between them. But once you go around the radiuses, you want to try to make them closer together, because each point that you fold at is essentially going to be a straight line. So you know, you want a whole bunch of lines together to make more of a circular shape. So this is all cut out right here. With the angle grinder, you're not going to have as much control as you would with, say, a jigsaw. Jigsaw is probably your best method if you want the most control. Now what we're going to do is just going to take a rubber mallet and pound these in. So now we've got everything pounded up with the rubber mallet. We went ahead and pounded it all in. It didn't come out too bad, but a lot of paint ended up peeling, so we'll just sand down some of the loose stuff and go ahead and paint it with some black paint just to keep it from rusting. Next thing we're going to do is this one tab on the bottom here we weren't able to fold in yet because of the brace for the fender. We're going to come under here and just remove the brace. It's two 10mm bolts that are holding it, and also another 10mm holding it to the fender. I only have one bolt left to take off, but I'm probably actually just going to cut right straight across this and just cut this piece off so it doesn't hold in sand and salt and stuff during the winter. And that's pretty much it for this fender here. You know, it's pretty simple. I recommend that you start on the front doing this and practice for the rear, because if you do screw it up, then you can do what most people do with these, which is just take a saw and come just right along the edge here and just cut it, leaving an edge. So it's just good practice for the rear, which you have to use this method for. So we got the front all done, got the tire mounted back up, and that's what it looks like without the paint. Still have to paint it. But now we're going to come on to the rear. Same story back here, remove the flare. It's going to be the 10mm bolts to remove all the ones you can find and remove the flare. So we'll do that now.
I'm recording.
Now that we got the flare off, we're going to come and take a look at where we're going to cut here. You can see the factory spot weld. There's one right there. We got one right there. Just all these little dimples in here are the factory spot welds holding the inner fender right here, which keeps everything out of your trunk area to your outer body. So that's what they do. Now we don't want to cut these out. We want to cut on spots in between them. Make sure you don't cut through them. Cut, say, in between them, like right up in here, and just follow the same type of method that you did on the front fender. Okay, so we got all these cuts made here, as you can see, between the spot welds. Just going to take the rubber mallet and pound them up on into the fender again. So here's the somewhat final product for us here. I still need to sand and paint around the edge of here, but as you can see, it's all folded up and tucked inside. There were a few places where I cut a little bit too far, which from what I understand is the biggest mistake that people make when doing this. But otherwise, that's pretty much it. Real simple. Later on I may cut and fold the rear quarters here and tuck them up, but who knows. Just the reason I did this today was because I have 31-inch tires and I don't want to spend money on a lift, so this is the best way to cheaply clearance the Cherokee to fit those. So if you have any questions or comments, please post below. Feel free to like and subscribe. Thanks.